Hi, I'm Jenna VanderLaan, and I'm excited to teach first grade at ZCS Christian.
Obviously, yeah, you student taught with Mr. Meyer.
Yep,
Was that last year?
it was in the fall, yeah.
In the fall. Okay, in the fall. And were you at Calvin or Hope
Hope.
or Hope? Okay,
Yep, I'm at Hope.
awesome. So did you just graduate then?
Yes, I did. Yeah, graduate.
Congratulations. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's obviously great to have you back at Zealand Christian after student teaching. What about your student teaching experience and then what you learned through the interview process has you excited for teaching at Zealand Christian?
Yeah, so experiencing ZCS Christian firsthand through student teaching was a really cool experience for me, and definitely affirmed my desire to teach in a Christian school. I've dreamed of teaching in a Christian school since a very young age, since I grew up in a similar one in Grand Rapids. So yeah, that has always been a dream of mine. ZCS Christian's community is so inclusive, which is something that I love. The staff was super welcoming and supportive, even for me as a student teacher, which was something that I found very positive and yeah, definitely appreciated my time there. And then the students were just very eager and ready to learn. They wanted to know more about whether it was like academically or spiritually, which is something that I found very refreshing. Yeah, so super excited to teach at Zealand Christian, combining my love of learning and my passion for sharing my faith in Christ with others is one of the main aspects of why I'm super excited to teach at ZCS. So,
Would you mind sharing a little bit about your faith journey?
yeah. So like I said, I grew up in a small Christian school, very similar to Zealand Christian. My parents were wonderful role models in how to live out their faith for my brother and I. And I think personally, I took that for granted and just kind of took on their faith as my own and didn't really think a ton about it. But then in high school, I remember going on a mission trip to New Mexico. And there I encountered some unbelievers for the first time, and that's where I was really challenged in, like, is this really what I believe? And thankfully I found that it is. And yeah, so I found that traveling is something that I love to do. But also in a lot of the experiences that I've had through travel, I've also been able to share my faith and my story with those that I meet. So for example, at Hope, I took 2 big trips. One was through campus ministries on an immersion trip, and we went to Jamaica. So we worked in a deaf village, which was awesome. And we worked in schools there. So that really affirmed my decision to pursue teaching as a career. And also I could see God's hand at work all the way across the world, which was really cool. And then also I went to Costa Rica last summer on a seed trip, which is through Hope Athletics. And it's basically like a sports mission trip. And I was able to connect my love of sports with my love of sharing my faith, which is a really cool experience. And yeah, we were also able to host water filter demonstrations and give water to those communities who did not have clean water, which was an awesome experience as well. And we connected that with how Jesus is like the water filters that we gave and how he purifies us and makes us clean, even though we have so much sin and like the water is very dirty. So that was cool to break down the foundation of Christianity, since I hadn't done that since probably elementary school. So yeah, and then ever since then, I have just been more intentional in my relationship with Christ. And yeah, I think it's matured a lot throughout the past couple of years. And yeah, I really tried to take that on as my own, not just as my parents. But yeah, I'm excited to share that with the kids in my class. And yeah, by no means am I done growing. So the community at ZCS is a wonderful place to continue growing in that.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. What sports do you play?
I played volleyball at Hope, but throughout high school I played soccer and volleyball, and then yeah, growing up I played pretty much anything that I could.
That's awesome. So how do you see your faith influencing your teaching?
Yeah, so I think connecting academic learning back to the one who created it all. So um, the creator of the earth and like waves and mountains and everything like that also created math and science for us to learn, which is just a really cool concept to think about, I think. And yeah, intertwining it with every subject is something that I'm super excited about.
Cool. What gets you excited about teaching first grade?
I think that's such a fun age. They're at an age where they're just starting to learn some independence and wanting to do things on their own, but also being a facilitator of their learning and allowing them to explore on their own, but also guiding them. Yeah, and it's such a fun age that they say funny things, and they're just like kind of goofy. Like they don't really care about how others view them yet, which is something that is a good reminder for myself.
Yeah, that is a good reminder. Who were some of the biggest influences on your life?
Yeah, I think my parents are probably the biggest influences. I know that's a pretty typical answer, but yeah, they've just modeled how to demonstrate a Christ-like attitude from the very beginning. They've been some of my biggest role models and supporters throughout my life, and they've shown up in so many times, whether it was physically in being in the stands for every volleyball match or spiritually in guiding me in my relationship with Christ. So yeah, they're definitely people that I strive to be like.
That's cool. Um, I think growing up, I always felt like that was kind of the typical answer. Kind of like with your faith story. It's like, yeah, I grew up in a Christian home. Now that I have two daughters, when
Yeah.
I hear an answer like that, to me, what it does is it gives me a piece about you as a teacher, because what it does is it goes, wow, like I'm so glad she had that stability growing up. Like I'm glad that's her foundation.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, so I know it can feel like a typical answer, but just yeah, know that when you say that, I think a lot of parents will be really glad to hear that.
Good.
So I think that's a really valuable thing that you and I are both fortunate to have in common. So
For
that's
sure.
awesome. Um, I was going to ask you a question about that, and now I have forgotten it because I talked about what I liked in there. Oh, I know. With teachers that you had growing up, are there teachers that you had throughout your, I guess, through the whole process of your education, who you want to emulate, or any stories that you remember that you're like, that's the kind of teacher I want to be?
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. My first grade teacher and my third grade teacher, so it's ironic that the two positions that I applied for were first and third, were some of the teachers that stuck out for me growing up. They both just loved all of their students, and showed that through their actions. They cared about us as students, but more than that, they cared about us as people. I just remember in third grade, I would come to school after the weekend and I had like a big like ASO soccer game or something. And they'd be like, oh, how'd your game go? Like, did you have fun? Like all this stuff. So yeah, just caring about my students outside of the classroom and building that relationship with each of them individually is something that I want to do in my own classroom too with my kids.
That's cool. That's really cool. All right, so a little bit more about you. What is your favorite kind of food or restaurant, or a recent favorite? Doesn't have to be the all-time
Okay.
either.
Yeah. So my favorite restaurant is Hop Cat, and I was super pumped when they got it in Holland.
That's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, because it
but
started Grand Rapids, right?
it Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm from Kalamazoo, and there's one in Kalamazoo
Okay.
now too. I think that was the second, maybe the second or
Okay.
third location, but
Yeah. It's so good. My go-to order is the Southwest salad, and then of course you have to get cosmic fries.
yep, nice.
But
Good job on the title there. Way to
yes,
change it. Good job.
yes. I
That's
always felt weird saying it
I
before, but
know.
now it's okay.
Yeah, now it's okay. That's
um,
funny.
but yeah, like many teachers, I'm a big coffee drinker,
Nice.
especially if it's iced coffee.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
I try to stay healthy.
what's so for the parents out there who want to, thank you or, assuage their guilt if their child has had a rough week or something, what's your coffee order and from where?
Ooh, currently my go-to order is from Starbucks, and it's an iced coffee with vanilla and almond milk.
Okay. All right. There
Yeah,
you go. Parents take note.
there we go.
All right. What's the last great book you have read? And we added, why was it a favorite or was it a favorite? But I guess last great book. Let's just start there.
Okay. So I saw that question on the list of questions, and it's actually the book that I'm currently reading. I'm only about halfway done with it, but it's called Own Your Everyday, and it's by Jordan Lee Dooley. I really like it because I think it's super applicable and relatable to the stage of life that I'm at right now. Being a recent college graduate, it talks about how a lot of people limit themselves by the labels that other people in like the world put on them, and goes through how to overcome those labels in order to live into the full potential and calling that God has for you. So yeah, I believe that my calling is to be a teacher. So just discovering the different aspects of that going forward. So
Nice. That's really neat. I often find that my current book is my favorite book.
yes.
I don't know what that is about books, but I often find that to be true.
Yes.
So how do you want to, and how do you see yourself nurturing growth in students of all different styles and learning abilities?
Yeah. So I believe that creating a relationship with each individual student will help me tailor my instruction to each student's learning styles. And I also have a background in special education, which will definitely benefit me in a general education classroom in differentiating instruction and things like that. One way that I plan on instructing is through center-based stations. So for those of you who don't know what that is,
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
okay, so it's where students are broken up into smaller groups. Sometimes they're based on strengths of students. Sometimes they're based on just randomized groups. Some of like on Friday, it could be like a fun thing and get with all of your friends. So they travel to different stations in the room, and they're 10 to 15 minutes, so they're super short, but they do different activities there. Joel Meyer actually demonstrated this very well in his classroom, and I would like to kind of steal his idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it creates movement in the classroom and allows students not to have to sit in one place and listen to me talking to them for forever. It also creates independence in working alone, but also promotes collaboration with others in some stations, which is super cool. And then it also allows me to be able to check in with certain students and assist them on the different areas that they may need a little extra help. So, but it keeps everyone engaged and moving and active. So something that I plan on using.
That's awesome. What else do you do for fun? You mentioned sports and travel.
Yeah.
What have you been doing for fun while you're stuck at home? And what do you do when you're not stuck at home?
Yeah, quarantine has really reminded me how much I love to be with people. So it's been a bit of a struggle. But yeah, so whether that's going to the beach, I love going to the beach in every season, even winter, because the frozen icebergs and stuff are super pretty. I also, yeah, like to stay active. So I do hot yoga, and I also am trying to get better at running. Volleyball is not a huge running sport, so but yeah, I really hope to keep volleyball in my life, whether it's pick up volleyball or I also coached in our off season, so we'll see if that comes into play in the future. So
Nice. Where did you coach?
it was called Aces Zeal. We actually practiced at the Zealand Christian Gym.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but then a year before that, I coached at Impact Dynamic Training in Granville.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, I think those are the questions that I have. It's really good to chat with you and good to see you
You
again, and
too.
excited to have you back and
Thank you.
full time. And yeah, I would say as much as you can steal from Mr. Meyer, steal away. He
Yeah,
seems
he was
to be
a
doing,
wonderful mentor.
yeah, he seems to be doing a lot of things right in teaching, and yeah, so I'm super excited to see his influence carried on through your classroom, and yeah, and then excited to see how he learns from you. That's one of the other great strengths that he has. He's such a lifelong learner.